Hello, and welcome. Welcome to the Fractional CEO podcast. Hi, Brad.
Philip, how are you?
I'm great. In the pre-show, we've decided that we'll be speaking today about a very interesting topic, which you definitely like. The same thing is with me, and that is employment, employing, and hiring. So, what's your take? What's your take on that?
Well, my take on it is it's hiring is definitely an art form. For many decades, God, if I had just $1 for everybody I've interviewed, I'd be a very rich man. But here's the thing: is interviewing gets confused with you just ask questions. And while that is true, it's what questions and where are you trying to go? What are you trying to discover? Because the 80-20 rule is probably one of the biggest rules I find that gets broken. And that means the interviewer is doing most of the talking. That is bad.
Yeah.
The interviewer is to engage the candidate and then get the candidate talking, because that's the only way you're going to get to learn about them. So that's one thing that I've noticed, that when I'm even in my coaching practice, let me tell you a little story that will, I think is important to illustrate this. I was coaching a gentleman who is almost 25 years my senior. Okay, been in
Okay.
business a long time, but he was telling me, he goes, I hire them, and he says I bring them in, and out they go. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And that was startling to me at first, because I'm thinking to myself, well, geez, being in business for as long as you've been in business, how could you have this as an issue? But you don't know what you don't know. So what I did is I said, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to figure this out is I need to sit in with an interview with you. So that's what we did. And what I discovered was he was interviewing himself. What happens is that if this guy's a salesman, so that's why he fell into this category.
Yeah.
He started, he talked to them for a little bit, and then the next thing you know, he's like, his company is this, and this is what he likes to see, and this, and blah blah blah. And then by the end, when this person left, I just looked at him and I just said, "What do you think?" He says, "Well, I like him," and I said, "You don't even know him."
He
So
practically made the sales pitch.
he 100% did, and
Yeah.
so I just said, okay, I'm now going to do an interview. I'm going to show you how it works, and I'll signal you for questions, and then I also had a signal for we need to end this interview. In other words, they're not a very good candidate. Anyways, I taught them a lot through that process. So the reason I brought up that story is this: as I said earlier, you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah.
But if any of that resonates with people, they should really do a forensic audit on how they interview. If they're experiencing, I never seem to hire the right person, they sell themselves in the interview to their thoughts, anyways, and then they come in and it doesn't mesh, and I'm constantly recruiting. That's one indicator. It's a possibility, but that's one
Yeah.
indicator.
Yeah.
What are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Absolutely. What I also saw, and this definitely what you mentioned reminded me of a situation generally in the process of hiring and looking for adequate candidates. Things in the general process of hiring, like you mentioned, are happening that way. But also in the onboarding phase, a bunch of companies actually don't have the adequate onboarding stages nor the organization. And I remember because we were working with the one interesting company which is resolving the specific pain point from the software perspective. An analysis shows that 30% of all new employments are people are just going out from the company after first quarter. So when you remind yourself how much time, effort, mentoring and dedicated time and effort in the onboarding phase by default needs to be done from the seniors to equip an individual so they can actually do their job within the company, it's crazy. It is crazy amount of time. And also when we are talking about micro, small, even up to medium-sized companies, the time of the CEO is roughly estimated, they are dedicating around 15 to 17% of their time to the onboarding phase. No matter they already have the staff managing the process, educating new colleagues, and similar. So, and connected to that lack of onboarding process is the fact that a bunch of those companies actually don't have a centralized system nor the book of knowledge from where people can simply pull relevant data about the best practices, how things are being done, and similar. So it is very challenging, and the impact is massive, and significance, meaning the importance of hiring the right people and placing them at the right place. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
You're right, and there's a few things in there, Philip. There's getting clear on what it is you're looking for is paramount.
Yeah,
So too often than not, companies are wasting a lot of valuable time going through faceless resumes and calling in interview after interview, where they could save themselves a lot of time if they did a pre-screen telephone call. Ask some of your more pertinent questions. Have 3 to 5 tops, and ask those questions and do a pre-screen. It saves time. Whether like it's in the yes pile, it's in the maybe pile, it's in the no pile, whatever. I don't care.
yeah,
The other part of it is that like with the hiring process in general, there hasn't been a plan. Now, I often say if you're hiring when you need people, you're already behind,
yeah,
because what ends up happening is what I like to call panic hiring. So I just need people. I just need people. Okay, that's not hard. You can have people, but to your point, the onboarding gets sacrificed because we don't have time. The new employee does not feel valued because they can tell they're being rushed. And then the
yeah,
next thing you know, they're on the board, they're on the phone, they're on the sales floor, and they're just like, what the hell is happening? And it's because I just need people, and then they don't come in the next day, and
yeah,
that's really common with Generation Z. It's these guys and gals in that generation. If you make them uncomfortable, and you've had a terrible experience with onboarding, they just disappear. They'll ghost you. They're gone, and
yeah.
that's just the way they handle things in that generation. So when I'm talking with somebody, and this can segue into performance reviews, performance discipline, but we're talking about recruitment right now. And like I said, with the recruitment, you need a plan just like you have a business plan.
Exactly.
The people you bring in to represent your company is an investment. Okay, when people say, and this is just it's wordplay, but follow me here. They go, oh, labor expense, and I go, it's not an expense, and it's an investment. I said, if you see it as an expense and only as an expense, you've already lost. I do that because I want to wake people up and realize that the investment is that salary, and that salary is to produce a greater number, which gives you your profit. So clearly it's an investment.
Exactly.
If you view it this way, you'll have a different attitude. If you view it as an
Absolutely.
expense, like buying garbage bags, I can understand why you're having trouble. Does that make sense?
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. This reminded me of entire process in my 16 plus years in career in entrepreneurship. Generally, no matter the business vertical, I was very focused both with my team in entire process, especially hiring, because in the end, what we were always looking for, proactive people who can on their own, do the stuff with adequate help and support without micromanagement and similar. But that means that the company needs to be well equipped, systems in place, and transfer of knowledge and information again needs to be properly set up. And in the end, expectations, both from the organization perspective and financial, need to be in order. So, what also happens very often on the market, and we see that on a daily basis, companies are investing. significant amount of money in presentation, in marketing, in visibility. But hiring as the experience, as the process, it is the utmost significance for the business. And in that respectable realm, you're losing potentially the battle, meaning losing the great talents you could acquire. Plus, big thing you mentioned, uh, immediate hiring when it's critical, it's so bad and so wrong. I know, but through my experience, we were and we are constantly receiving an open job applications from the people who want to work with us and similar. And what we actually do, we are treating entire conversation with them as they already entered the hiring process because they are. I don't know tomorrow what will be happening if we will be needing them, or we want to set up an internal team for our respectable client and customer. But we have great talents on the bench ready to jump in. That is the value. Definitely, that requires a massive
Completely
dedication,
agree.
focus,
Yep.
and energy. But if you put things right, results will follow.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Is being proactive. Like not that it exists much anymore, but back in the day, when people just say, "Oh, we're not hiring right now," I just say, "Well, that may be so, but you're always recruiting."
Yeah.
That I was a young manager. I was in my 20s, and this self-made millionaire um, who had this restaurant near the place where I worked. He gave me some fantastic advice that I've never ever forgotten. And one of them was, he goes, "Brad, you always make room for good people." And I've never forgotten that because the cream rises to the top. So let's say, for example, I have a team of 5 or I have a team of 9 or whatever. But somebody comes along and I'm going, I have to have Philip on my team. Like this guy, like he's got this, he's got this. I could see him advancing in my company. I'm bringing you on board. You just make room. You figure it out. And if that is figuring it out because you're going to experience some attrition, so be it. But the thing
Yeah.
is that, like I said, with that investment concept, bringing Philip on is because I've already seen that will add value and the value will translate into dollars. So I don't really have to be concerned with it. And I learned that, like I said, I was in my early 20s and I've always done it. Anytime I meet somebody that comes to with their resume in hand or whatever and applies it, I want to talk to them. And I talk to them as they're dropping it off. And when I was running stores back when I was young, I would always get my team involved. And I would say, anytime somebody's dropping off a resume, make every effort to talk to them because I want to know your point of view. And that's also a screening process that can help you out because when your team is sold on a person that comes on board,
Exactly.
it's better odds that they'll last because they feel comfortable, right?
Yeah. It's a symbiosis, a homogeneous environment. And also one thing I wanted to mention in overall hiring process, generally it is a component of retention, people retention, research retention in the company. Uh, a bunch of are being focused generally on some extra perks, features, whatever. But point is, if you already have a top-notch talent in the company, within the company, it is very relevant. It is definitely very important for that individual to be able to grow the personal skill and being and steering towards the personal preferences. Uh, that is something what I practiced through my entire entrepreneurship career. I was always speaking with my team, an individual conversation about the preferences, where they want to go within the company, specific type of projects, and similar, because their career is a development, like
Right.
for every one of us. And if you want to have a great individual in your team, you need to respect his needs, not only from the financial perspective, but where that individual wants to be tomorrow. Where are the preferences, potential talents, and similar? And that is one thing which helped me grow the business by default and even expand in terms of entrepreneurship activities. Because
Yes.
sometimes some people are simply able and have a skill set for management and everything. Just give them a free rein, guide it, guide it. I'm only here to provide resources, money, additional team, infrastructure. Just move on while I'm sitting in the back or on the bench, waving and supporting you. And that's it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's the thing is bad leaders will blame money and why they go, well, they left me because they could go make $1 more an hour down the street. And the reason that that's accepted is because it's not personal.
Yeah.
So what you just talked about is one of the ways that you can keep people around, and that is by investing in them. What you're talking about. And also, it shows that they matter. Any human resource top 10 list I've ever seen in my corporate career, for reasons that people leave an organization, money never hits top five.
Exactly.
Almost
Yeah.
never hits
Yeah.
top five. I'm not going to say emphatically it doesn't because it's probably unwise of me to do so. Anyways, the majority of the ones that I saw certainly did not have money in the top five. Look, when the companies that I've worked with in the past, I've had situations where the employee gets upset. They think money is what's going to pacify it, and it does until now it's just their salary.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it, and then a couple of paychecks later, it's just my salary, but the problem still exists. So
Exactly.
throwing money at it is not the answer.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. It won't resolve the
it's
problem.
hey, we need money to live, 100%.
Absolutely.
But I've had these three lads that came into my retail store. This was a long time ago, and they were working in a plastics shop, and they said I got tired of wearing masks in a hot, like what do they call them? Those working suits that they wear. They can't take off, so they're sweating to death, and they were making incredible money. But they said to me, because I was asking, like, why would you give up making whatever it was, like quite a bit an hour, to come work at my retail store? Because I was suspect of this. I was just like, why buy? And they just literally, to put it into a quick context, quality of life. The money simply wasn't worth it.
Yeah.
So look at that for your own business. If you have a group of people that work in your organization that's very happy, you take care of them, you invest in them, you show them appreciation and so forth, they'll attract other great talent. They really will.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And conversely, if you are not a very good leader and you have disgruntled employees and they're just there doing the time until something better comes along, and you fluke out and hire somebody good, they'll quickly figure out that this is a terrible company and they're gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
they may stay and they just join the pack. So the productivity does this. So it's interesting, but I've oh gosh, Philip, nothing surprises me anymore.
Yeah, that is expected, and the fact is, whatever it is important to mention, especially to the audience, whatever we are seeing here about the hiring, the process, misconceptions, and everything else, we are talking about both employee side of perspective and contractors, 1099
Yeah,
engagements, because rules are the same. Respect the individual, help support him, nurture the relationship, and enable an individual to grow within the organization, within the team, and strive forward together. Because it's a symbiosis, and it should be perceived as such. I'm constantly reminding myself that I'm sitting in a very comfortable chair. Why? Because I have great team around me which help me to
yeah,
do so. Other way around, it would be impossible.
yes,
Simply impossible.
yeah, yep. Your goal is to push up your people, and
Yeah,
it's you're there to remove barriers that get in their way. That's your job as
yeah,
a leader. Is is working that way. But no, I just it was a great topic. I like it. I really am passionate about a team. I've built some fantastic teams over my career, and my attrition was always low because my guys knew I had their back and they had mine. And it wasn't about being buddies. I'm not talking about inviting them over for turkey dinner, but they knew I valued them big time. They made my life easier because they worked hard, and I took good care of them that way. So I think that's the message. But for the recruitment side, as I said earlier, have a plan. What are you looking for? What kind of timeline? How are they going to get into your company as far as your onboarding process? What does that look like, and how long? So it's the more detail and planning that you put into these things can pay you back with them not leaving.
Yeah.
So, what do I always say? Pay now, pay later. It's up to you. But if you pay later, it's always more expensive. So pay now and get it done right.
Yeah, exactly. Good point. The one thing before we go, just wanted to mention here, simply through my experience and everything, and you mentioned that it is good for the audience to hear it once more. It is very important for the leader to take care and save the back of his colleagues within the company. Something what I said to my team from day one, with whomever you're speaking with in terms of clients and similar, the way they're treating you, they're practically communicating with me. So if they're being rude and or similar to you, it's a strict no-go. There is no chance that I will, as the owner, go down the stream and just forgetting stuff happening. No. It cannot be done. I even had in some earlier stage of conversations and entrepreneurship in situations where some of the clients were trying to be rude to my team. They were fired immediately with clear and very nice explanation. Objective one, why? It's clear boundaries.
Yes.
Speaking with your team, meaning speaking with you and vice versa. And that is something also very sensitive within the companies because they're playing a game, good cop, bad cop. And the good cop mostly will be the owner. No worries. It's wrong. Client is not always right. There are respectable cases when something like that needs to be put up front, elaborated, managed properly. And properly managed doesn't mean to forget it.
Yeah. No, you're 100% right. I had a guy I reported to years ago. He says the customer may not always be right, but they're always the customer. So it puts things into perspective in that statement. So yeah, I agree with you.
Awesome. Do you have maybe some of the final thoughts for today?
Just like I said, it's hiring and getting the right people is the lifeblood of your business. So treat it as such. It's what you don't know can hurt you. So pay attention to what the results have been of your hiring process. And if it's not meeting your expectation, a forensic audit of your process is required.
Yeah. Thank you. Awesome. Take care. It was a pleasure as always. And
Yeah, thanks, Philip. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. See you.